Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Monday morning, February 23rd, 2026. And I have to ask right out of the gate, have you looked at your screen time report yet today?
I am absolutely pleading the fifth on that one. I honestly haven't looked. I am way too scared to look.
Yeah, you and me both. But look, if you are listening to this right now and feeling a little overwhelmed by the digital noise this morning,
Mm.
I want to start with a number that might actually make you feel better. Or, well, maybe much, much worse, depending on how you look at it.
All right, hit me with it. I'm ready.
5.66 billion.
That is a lot of people.
That is the current count of active social media users worldwide. 5.6 billion human beings. That's more than half the planet. Everyone is just scrolling, tapping, posting, liking. And if you're out there listening to this trying to run a business or build a brand or really just understand culture right now, that number doesn't exactly sound like an opportunity anymore.
No, it really doesn't.
It sounds like a tidal wave. It just sounds like noise.
It feels like noise because the actual physics of the internet have fundamentally changed. We aren't just dealing with user volume anymore, we're dealing with content volume. And most of it, honestly, isn't even human. We are drowning in what this new Ogilvy report, which we're going to completely tear apart today, by the way, calls the synthetic feed.
The synthetic feed. I mean, that sounds like a sci-fi horror movie title.
It's a little dystopian for a Monday, but it captures the tension perfectly. We have this massive explosion of AI-generated content, images, text, bots. But at the exact same time, actual human beings are craving real connection more than they ever have in recorded history.
It's a paradox, right? The more artificial the feed gets, the more desperate we are for something that just feels real.
Exactly. And that is really the lens for today's deep dive. We have a massive stack of source material on the virtual desk today. We've got the 2026 trend data from Sprout Social, that social with substance report from Ogilvy, plus some really heavy hitters from Vested and Code3.
And our mission, as always, is not to just sit here and read you the spreadsheets. We're going to find the actual signal inside that 5.66 billion person noise.
And the signal is basically this. The attention economy is dead. We have officially entered the intention economy.
Okay, I want to put a pin in that for a second because intention economy is a phrase that sort of sounds like high-level marketing jargon, but I have a feeling it's actually quite practical.
It really is. It changes everything about how you sell, how you write, and honestly, how you just exist online today.
So here's the roadmap for the next hour or so. We're going to start with a bit of a funeral. Sorry, Google, but we need to talk about the death of traditional search.
The numbers on that are just brutal.
They really are. Then we're going to look at the AI paradox. Why using the smartest tools in human history might actually be making your business dumber. Then we're going to do a really rigorous platform-by-platform breakdown. Like, where is the money actually flowing in 2026?
Spoiler alert, it is not where you think it is.
Not at all. We'll also touch on this idea of the journalist as a brand, and we're going to finish up with the mystery generation, Gen Alpha.
The kids are all right, but they are definitely not just mini millennials.
No, they are not. So buckle up. Let's dive right into part one, the great search migration.
Let's do it.
I want to start with a personal anecdote, actually. Last night, my dishwasher broke. It had this weird error code, flashing lights, the whole 9 yards. 5 years ago, what would I have done?
You would have opened up Chrome, gone straight to Google, and typed in Whirlpool dishwasher error code E4.
Exactly. I would have gotten a blue link, maybe a text forum, maybe a really dense PDF manual. But last night, I didn't even think about Google. I opened TikTok, I typed the code in, and literally within 3 seconds, I was watching a guy in Ohio fix my exact same machine.
And you trusted him.
I trusted him instantly. I saw his hands. I saw the actual part. I saw the machine working again at the end.
That interaction right there, that is the macroeconomic shift of the entire decade.
Yeah. It feels purely anecdotal when it happens to you, but the data from Sprout Social suggests I am completely statistically average now. Listen to this. Social platforms, so TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, they now account for over 60% of product discovery.
60%, that is the vast majority.
And Google, the giant, the actual verb we use for searching, they're down to 34.5% of total search share.
If you pause and just let that sink in, that is a full-blown crisis for Google. For 20 years, they were the gatekeepers. If it wasn't on Google, it effectively didn't exist. Now, for nearly 2/3 of all discovery, people are just bypassing the gatekeepers entirely.
But why is that happening? Is it just because video is easier to consume? Or is the Google product actually getting worse?
It's definitely both. Think about the user experience of Google right now in 2026. You type in a question. What do you actually get? You get 3 sponsored ads at the top that are disguised as answers but are actually just sales pitches. Then you get an AI-generated summary that is often hallucinating or just completely bland. And then finally, you get a list of articles that were written by SEO bots specifically just to capture your click.
It feels really sterile and honestly a little suspicious.
It feels synthetic, it lacks proof. And this is the key word the reports keep coming back to over and over. Validation. When you saw that guy on TikTok fixing your dishwasher, you got visual proof. You saw the context. You saw the vibes.
Vibes. I feel like my teenage niece whenever I say that word out loud. But what does vibes actually mean in a strict business context?
It means nonverbal information. If I'm looking for a restaurant for date night, Google can tell me the address, it can tell me the opening hours, it can even show me a star rating out of 5. But it cannot tell me if the music is too loud. It can't tell me if the lighting is romantic.
Right, it lacks that sensory data.
Exactly. But a 15-second video on Instagram Reels, I see the lighting instantly. I hear the ambient noise in the background. I see what the people at the next table are wearing. That is vibes. And that is rich data that Google simply cannot capture in a text crawl.
It's the difference between reading a printed menu and actually walking through the dining room.
That is a perfect analogy. And this behavior, it's really being driven by the youth, but it is bleeding up to absolutely everyone else. The Sprout data shows that 41% of Gen Z turn to social networks first when searching for information. Not second, first.
So for them, TikTok isn't just an entertainment app where you do dances. It's a core utility.
It is a functional search engine. And here is the stat that I think should absolutely terrify every CMO listening today. 52% of Gen Z trust brand or product info on social media more than they trust Google or AI chatbots.
Okay, that actually seems a bit counterintuitive to me.
Mm-hmm.
We usually think of social media as the Wild West, the place for fake news and heavy filters. Why would they trust it more than a structured search engine?
Because of the human loop. On Google, the result feels institutional. It feels corporate and faceless. On social, even if it's a paid influencer, there is a human face. There is a voice. And biologically, we are just hardwired to trust faces over text.
So if I'm a business SEO, let's say I sell, I don't know, ergonomic office chairs.
Very sexy product category.
Very. But if I'm selling these chairs, spending $50,000 on SEO to rank #1 on Google for best office chair, is that just a waste of money now?
I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a waste, but it is no longer the silver bullet it used to be.
Yeah.
You rank #1 on Google, but you have zero presence on TikTok or YouTube, where people are actually looking to see how the chair reclines or how it fits a really tall person versus a short person. You are losing the trust battle. You might get the initial click from search, but you won't get the conversion.
Because people want to see the messy reality of the product in action.
Yes, exactly. This is the massive decline of polish. We spent the last decade in marketing trying to make every brand look like Apple. Clean, lots of white space, perfect studio photography. Now, people see polished and their brain immediately thinks fake. They want to see the wing light reflection in the glasses. They want that slight handheld camera shake. They want to see the unboxing where the cardboard rips a little bit awkwardly. Because all of those tiny imperfections prove that it's real.
It's like the uncanny valley of marketing. If it's too perfect, we instinctively reject it.
Which brings us squarely to the absolute biggest driver of perfectly fake content in 2026.
Artificial intelligence.
The massive elephant in the server room.
Which leads us to part 2, the AI paradox. And I want to be really clear up front. We aren't Luddites here. We use AI.
We use it every single day. It's essential.
But the reports we're looking at, specifically the ones from Vested and Code3, are painting a pretty complicated picture of what AI is actually doing to the internet right now.
It goes right back to that synthetic feed concept from Ogilvy we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, Vested says that over 50% of content online right now is AI generated. Literally half the internet.
Think about the sheer scale of that. If you scroll on your phone for an hour, 30 minutes of that content wasn't touched by a human hand. It was just machines talking to machines.
And the Code3 report has this phrase that I really can't get out of my head. The sea of saneness.
It's such a great phrase, and it describes the current trap perfectly.
Explain that trap for the listener.
Okay, so the report says 84% of marketers are actively using AI. That is effectively adoption at total saturation. Everyone has the tools now. Everyone has ChatGPT or Midjourney or Gemini.
Right, the playing field is leveled.
Exactly. But all these models are trained on the exact same data. They are trained on the open web. So if you are a coffee brand and you ask the AI to write a post about why morning coffee is the best, and your direct competitor across the street asks the exact same question,
We get the exact same
you
answer.
get the exact same answer, you get the same adjectives, you get the same generic stock image of a steaming mug sitting on a wooden table with perfect morning lighting.
So we are all basically cheating off the exact same test paper.
And the consumer absolutely knows it. The consumer's brain is getting incredibly good at filtering this stuff out. It's exactly like banner blindness back in the late 90s. We are actively developing AI blindness. We see that perfect, glossy, soulless, grammatical structure, and we just scroll right past it without even processing it.
So if differentiation doesn't come from the tool anymore, because everyone has the tool, where does it come from?
It comes from the input. The competitive advantage in 2026 isn't using AI, that's just table stakes now to even play the game. The advantage is using proprietary data with AI.
Give me a concrete example of how a business actually does that.
Okay, let's go back to that coffee brand. Don't just open a blank prompt and ask the AI to write about coffee. Feed the AI your last 5,000 customer reviews first. Feed it the actual raw transcript of your founder talking about why they chose those specific beans. Feed it the weird specific flavor notes from your head roast master. And then, only then, ask it to write the post.
So you are basically training it on your company's soul before you ask it to speak on your behalf.
Exactly. You are building a walled garden LLM. If you don't do that, you are just taking buckets of water and throwing them into the sea of sameness.
But there's an even more radical strategy emerging now too, isn't there? It's not just about using AI better, it's about aggressively and publicly not using AI.
Yes, the human premium. Sprout Social found that human-generated content is the #1 priority for users in 2026. Realness has basically become a luxury asset class.
We have a couple of amazing case studies in the source material that illustrate this perfectly. I want to talk about Dove first.
The Turn Your Back campaign, a total classic already.
Now, for those who might have missed this, set the scene. This is all about that bold glamour filter, right?
Right. So on TikTok and Instagram, there was this specific filter called Bold Glamour. And unlike the old filters that just put cute dog ears on you or smoothed out your skin a bit, this one was genuinely, terrifyingly good. It used machine learning to completely restructure your underlying bone structure on screen. It gave you sharp cheekbones, fuller lips, perfect poreless skin. And the craziest part was it didn't glitch when you moved your hand in front of your face.
It just seamlessly made everyone look like a supermodel, but in a very specific, almost homogeneous algorithmic way.
It was the absolute definition of the synthetic feed. It was silently telling millions of young girls, this is what you should look like, and you can only look like this with the help of artificial intelligence.
So what did Dove do in response? Because they didn't just run a standard billboard campaign saying you're beautiful just the way you are.
No, they launched a full-on activist campaign. They partnered with influencers and everyday users and encouraged them to physically turn their backs to the camera, to actively reject the filter, to hide their face from the AI entirely.
It is such a powerful visual.
It won Gold Lions at Cannes. It swept the awards. But much more importantly, it actually worked in the real world because it validated the user's quiet anxiety. People were sitting at home feeling like, this filter makes me feel like crap about myself. Dove stepped in and basically said, you're right to feel that way. It's entirely fake. Turn your back on it.
They successfully positioned themselves as the defender of reality.
Exactly. In a world drowning in fake, the brand that plants a flag and fights for reality is the one that wins the loyalty.
And then, on the complete opposite end of the tonal spectrum, we have Sarav.
Oh, Michael Sarav. I love this one.
This was everywhere. The Super Bowl, all over social media. Walk us through why this worked. Because honestly, on paper, it sounds incredibly stupid. Michael Sarav. It's literally just a dad joke.
It is the ultimate low-hanging fruit dad joke. But the execution of it was an absolute masterclass in anti-AI creativity.
Oh, so.
Well, AI really can't do weird very well. AI struggles with specific, hypercultural, meme-driven, absurd humor. Sarev spent weeks quietly planting fake conspiracies online. They had micro-influencers spotting Michael Cera in random drugstores, supposedly signing bottles of lotion. They had real dermatologists stitching videos on TikTok, seriously debunking the rumors that an actor was their chief formulator.
It was basically an alternate reality game playing out in real time.
It really was, and it culminated in this bizarre commercial where he's like getting a massage from dolphins or something.
Yeah, he's talking to a narwhal in a cave. It made zero sense.
It was completely completely absurd, but it felt like the internet. It did not feel like a sanitized storyboard from a corporate boardroom. It felt like a late-night Reddit thread just came to life. And that is exactly the point. You cannot prompt ChatGPT to create a culturally resonant, meme-based conspiracy campaign involving a B-list comedy actor and moisturizing cream.
Not yet, anyway.
True, not yet. That specific campaign required a deeply human brain to make those weird lateral connections, and the audience completely ate it up because it felt like they were in on a massive inside joke.
So the grand lesson from both Dove and Saray is basically use AI for the grunt work. Use it for the data analysis and the spreadsheets. But for the love of God, keep the actual creative human.
Keep the soul human, because that is the only thing people are actually buying anymore.
Okay, so we know how to create the content now. Keep it real, keep it weird, keep it human. But where do we actually put it? Because the platform landscape in 2026 is, frankly, confusing.
To say the very least, it's a mess.
We have the old guard, we have the new challengers, the B2B players. This brings us to part 3, the platform wars. And I want to start with the platform everyone loves to hate and everyone loves to confidently say is dead.
Ah, the meta juggernaut.
Facebook and Instagram. I feel like every single year for the last 10 years, I've read a think piece titled The Death of Facebook.
And every single year, Mark Zuckerberg just looks at the bank account and laughs.
He really does. So what is the actual data-backed reality in 2026?
The reality is pure ROI, return on investment. If you put $1 into the advertising machine, how much actually comes back out? Meta is currently leading the entire pack with a 4.2x average ROAS, return on ad spend.
Okay, for the listener who isn't a daily media buyer, a 4.2x, is that exceptionally good?
That is the gold standard. It means for every $100 you spend on ads, you are making $420 in top-line revenue. That is a machine that literally prints money.
And why is it still so remarkably high despite all the competition? Is it just the algorithm being that much smarter?
It's the sheer volume of historical data. Meta has been aggressively collecting data on us for 20 years now. They know what you want to buy before you consciously know what you want to buy. But there is a specific stat in these reports about Facebook, the Big Blue app specifically, that absolutely blows people's minds.
Lay it on me.
Facebook is the #1 platform for customer service at 45% and product discovery at 39%.
Wait, discovery. I thought we just said in part 1 that TikTok was the ultimate discovery engine.
For Gen Z, yes, absolutely. But you have to remember, Gen Z is not the only generation with disposable income. For millennials, Gen X, and boomers, Facebook is still effectively the yellow pages of the internet. If I see a cool new gadget advertised somewhere, I immediately check their Facebook page just to see if the company is actually real.
It's the legitimacy check. It's like checking to see if the lights are on in the store.
Exactly. And here is the huge demographic shocker. Who do you think actually uses Facebook the most right now?
I mean, grandmas. People sharing old cookie recipes and unhinged political memes.
That is the cultural stereotype. But the hard data says males aged 25 to 34.
You are joking.
I am dead serious. Male users actually outnumber female users on Facebook across almost every single age group, except for the 65-plus bracket.
That completely upends the narrative. I always picture the default Facebook user as a suburban mom.
And that exact misconception is why marketers are leaving so much money on the table. Think about Facebook Marketplace. Think about hyper-niche hobby groups. If you are selling power tools, software, menswear, gaming accessories to young men, and you aren't spending on Facebook because you think it's uncool, you are completely missing your biggest, most lucrative audience.
That is a massive insight. Just do not sleep on Facebook. Okay, let's pivot and talk about the cool kid, the one actually stealing all the cultural attention. TikTok.
The TikTok economy.
We know the engagement is incredibly high. But can you actually make real money there, or is it just vanity metrics?
You can make a fortune, but the mechanics are totally different from Meta. The primary strength of TikTok right now is the sheer cost of entry. The CPM, the cost per 1,000 impressions, is sitting around $3.50.
Compare that to Meta for us.
Meta can easily be double or triple that depending on your specific niche. So TikTok is incredibly cheap for reach. You can get your brand in front of 1 million eyeballs for just a few $1,000s.
I hear a very large, but coming.
There's a massive but. The creative burden.
Meaning you can't just run a standard banner ad and call it a day.
You can't even run your polished Instagram story ad. If you take a beautifully shot, polished 16 by 9 video ad and just slap it onto TikTok, it will violently flop. It will get 0 views. The algorithm will actively punish you for it
Because it immediately looks like an ad.
because it smells synthetic. Success on TikTok absolutely requires native style creative. It has to be lo-fi, it has to organically use the trending audio, it has to use the specific text overlays and fonts that are native to the app itself.
So you basically have to make a brand new bespoke piece of content specifically for that one platform.
Yes. And that takes a lot of time. It takes dedicated resources. You can't just outsource it to a traditional agency that doesn't natively get the culture. You almost need a 22-year-old sitting in the office with an iPhone, just running point.
The chief TikTok officer.
Honestly, yes, that's a real job now. But if you get it right, the engagement rate is 3.70%. Now, to a normal person, that sounds low. But in the advertising world, that is astronomical. And it's growing 49% year over year.
So the formula is basically high effort, high reward, low media cost.
Precisely. It's the platform for brands that are actually willing to put in the work for the attention.
Let's move over to the suit and tie crowd, LinkedIn.
Ah, my personal favorite. The absolute B2B powerhouse.
But it's so expensive. I've heard horror stories from founders about the CPCs over there.
Oh, it is deeply painful. Cost per click is currently sitting between $6 and $12, sometimes even higher for niche tech audiences.
$12 for a single click. That hurts if you're trying to sell $20 t-shirts.
Look, if you are selling t-shirts, stay far, far away from LinkedIn. Run away. But if you are selling enterprise software or high-level consulting or heavy machinery,
Right, if one single customer is worth $50,000 to your business.
then paying $12 to get your pitch right in front of the exact VP of operations who actually signs the check, that is a bargain. That is an absolute steal.
It's entirely about lead quality over lead quantity.
Unmatched quality. You can target by exact job title, company size, specific industry. No other platform on earth has that level of verified, self-reported data accuracy.
And the content there is shifting too, right? I feel like my personal LinkedIn feed has become a lot more video heavy lately, and honestly, a lot more personal.
It's the Facebookification of LinkedIn. People are sharing their failures, their personal stories. Video ads now made up 23% of all ad inventory there. But interestingly, for pure organic engagement, just getting people to naturally like and comment and share text posts still win.
Just text. No attached image or infographic.
Just text, maybe a couple of emojis to break up the lines. Why? Because it feels like a raw thought. It feels like a CEO literally just sat down at their desk and typed out a hard lesson they learned that day. A highly polished video feels like a marketing team made it. A raw text post feels like a human whispering a valuable secret directly to you.
Authenticity wins again. Just keeps coming back to that.
Is the absolute recurring theme of 2026.
Now, what about the biggest screen in our house? The living room TV. Let's talk about YouTube.
We are officially calling YouTube the new TV.
Is it still relevant for the social conversation, though? I tend to think of it as just a place for watching stuff, not interacting.
It is the most robust, full-funnel ecosystem out there right now. The Vested report had this one number that blew my mind. YouTube Shorts currently generate 200 billion daily views.
200 billion every single day.
With a B. Every day. That is your massive reach engine. That is where you grab their fleeting attention.
And then what? You have their attention for 10 seconds, then what happens?
Then you actively funnel them to your long-form videos to build actual trust. That is where the 20-minute deep dives happen. And finally, you hit them on connected TV. CTV. People are watching your YouTube content on their 65-inch screens in the living room with their families.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
My kids definitely do that.
Exactly. And the stat that matters the most for businesses trying to sell things, U.S. viewers consistently rate YouTube as the highest platform for shopping content. Things like in-depth reviews, unboxing videos, best of lists.
It's the verification step. If I'm going to drop $1,000 on a new camera, I am not just trusting the bullet points in the Amazon description. I am going straight to YouTube to watch a real guy hold it in his hands.
You want to see the raw footage it shoots. You want to hear if the buttons sound clicky. Again, it comes back to validation.
Okay, before we completely leave the platform section, we have to address the current fight for the digital town square. Threads versus X.
The great battle of text.
It really feels like Threads is gaining serious momentum lately.
In terms of pure mobile usage, yes, absolutely. Threads has officially surpassed X. They are sitting at 141.5 million daily active users versus X's 125 million.
That feels really significant. So is X officially dead then?
Not at all. X is still the undisputed king of right now. If there is an earthquake or a massive political scandal breaks or a live sports game is happening, where do you instinctively go?
I go to X to see what's happening this very second.
You go to X, but if you want to have a nuanced, ongoing conversation about knitting or mental health strategies or coding architecture, Threads is absolutely winning that battle.
It's the vibes again.
Yeah.
X is often angry and incredibly fast. Threads is just nicer.
It's significantly more conversational. It's much less hostile by design. So if you are a brand that really wants to build a long-term community, Threads is looking very attractive right now. If you are a breaking news organization, you obviously still need to be on X.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. We know the mechanics of the platforms now, but ultimately, people don't pledge loyalty to platforms. They pledge loyalty to people, which leads us perfectly into part 4, the evolution of trust and influence.
This is, without a doubt, one of the most fascinating shifts in the entire modern media landscape.
The core concept here in the reports is the journalist as a brand.
Vested put it so perfectly in their executive summary. The reporter is the channel.
Explain what that practically means.
Think about how you personally consume news today. Do you blindly trust the New York Times as a giant monolithic institution? Or do you trust that one specific tech reporter whose personal newsletter you've read every single Tuesday morning for the last 5 years?
Oh, it's definitely the reporter. If they quit tomorrow and moved to a totally different paper or went independent, I would just follow them.
That is the exact shift. Look at Substack right now, 5 million paid subscriptions.
That is an unbelievable amount of money flowing directly from readers to individual writers.
It is a literal return to the patronage model. In the 1700s, wealthy people supported a specific artist. In 2026, everyday people support a specific thinker. We are voluntarily paying for the specific human voice we trust to filter all the garbage and noise for us.
Because the background noise is all AI generated now.
Exactly. If I read a generic, unsigned news article online, my first thought is, did a bot just scrape this together? But if I read a newsletter from my absolute favorite economist, and she makes a self-deprecating joke about her cat, and she explicitly references a debate we were having in the comments section last week, I know for a fact it's her, and I will gladly pay $10 a month for that certainty.
So trust is actively decentralizing. It's moving from big institutions down to individuals.
Yes. And this exact same dynamic applies to influencers, too. We are officially seeing influencer marketing 2.0.
How is 2.0 practically different from 1.0?
1.0 was essentially the Kardashian model. Pure awareness. Just pay the most famous person you can afford to hold your detox tea up to the camera.
And just pray that millions of people see it and buy it.
Right, it was a billboard strategy. But 2.0 is entirely about conversion. And the data completely supports it. 94% of organizations say influencer marketing now outperforms traditional digital ads for them.
94%. That isn't a trend. That is a landslide.
But the underlying strategy has completely shifted to this concept of fit over fame.
What does vid over fame actually look like in practice?
It means brands are finally realizing that partnering with a creator who has, say, 50,000 followers, but who is obsessively dedicated to a specific niche, let's say, ultralight sustainable hiking gear, that person is worth way more to your bottom line than a mainstream pop star with 50 million followers who has clearly never been on a hike in their life.
Because those 50,000 people actually fundamentally trust the hiker's specific opinion on that specific gear.
Exactly. It's all about depth of influence over width of exposure.
And I'm seeing this trend bleed heavily into B2B as well, which honestly surprised me at first.
Oh, B2B influence is absolutely exploding right now.
I just don't typically think of influencers when I think of enterprise software or logistics.
You really should. There are massive influencers in supply chain logistics. There are highly paid influencers in cloud security architecture.
Who are they? Like, what do they do?
They are independent consultants. They are veteran engineers who post on LinkedIn. They are niche podcast hosts. And if you are trying to sell a $100,000 annual SaaS contract, getting one of them to casually say, yeah, I've tested this tool and it's actually really solid, that is worth 100 expensive banner ads.
It completely makes sense when you put it like that. The financial stakes are so much higher, so the underlying trust needs to be that much deeper.
Trust is the single most valuable currency in the intention economy.
Speaking of how we actually make these buying decisions, let's talk about the underlying psychology of the purchase. This is part 5, the impulse myth.
I absolutely love this section of the research. It completely rewired how I think about my own shopping habits.
The Code 3 report really tackles this long-held idea of impulse buying. We all know exactly what that feels like. You're standing at the grocery store checkout, you see the Snickers bar, you grab it.
You definitely didn't write Snickers on your shopping list that morning.
No, absolutely not. It felt like a purely spur-of-the-moment, spontaneous decision.
That is exactly what it looks like on the surface.
Mm.
But Code 3 argues that what marketers historically call impulse is actually latent demand.
Walk us through the mechanics of that.
Okay, stick with the Snickers bar analogy. You grabbed it in a split second. But you have known you like chocolate for 20 years. You've seen literally hundreds of Snickers commercials since you were a little kid. You know exactly what the texture is going to be. You know the approximate price. You completely trust the brand to deliver the exact experience you expect.
So the impulse wasn't actually an impulse at all.
The physical action of grabbing it was impulsive, but the demand was just sitting there in your brain, dormant, waiting for the right trigger.
It's like a sleeper agent just waiting for the activation code.
That is exactly it. And this doesn't just apply to candy bars, it applies heavily to luxury goods too. The report found that 50% of luxury buyers who self-report that they are impulsive shoppers actually had the specific product in mind well beforehand.
They'd been actively thinking about that $3,000 handbag for months.
They'd been lingering on it as they scrolled past it on Instagram. They had watched a 10-minute YouTube review of the stitching. The psychological seed was planted a long time ago. The supposed impulse buy at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday was really just the final harvest.
So if I'm a marketer listening to this, what do I actually do with this information? How does it change my daily job?
It means you absolutely cannot just target the very bottom of the funnel anymore. You can't just run ads that scream by now complete strangers and expect it to work.
You have to do the slow work of planting the seeds.
You have to build immense confidence in the mid-funnel. You have to be the metaphorical candy bar that they already know they like. So that when the random trigger finally happens, maybe it's a payday or a bad breakup or a targeted sale email, you are the obvious one they reach for without thinking.
It's about being an always-on brand.
Because today's consumer isn't always on consumer, they are constantly gathering data.
All right, we are in the home stretch here. We have talked extensively about the present landscape, but we really need to look at the future before we wrap up part 6, Gen Alpha.
The literal new kids on the block.
Let's define them first so everyone is on the same page. What are the birth years here?
Generally accepted as born between 2010 and 2024.
So the absolute oldest ones are turning 16 this year in 2026. They are getting driver's licenses, they're getting their first part-time jobs.
And massive legacy brands are absolutely terrified of them.
Why? What's the fear?
Because brands are lazily trying to treat them like just a mini version of Gen Z, and that is a fatal demographic mistake.
How are they fundamentally different from Gen Z then?
You really have to look at who raised them. Gen Z was predominantly raised by Gen X. Gen Alpha is being raised by millennials.
By us.
By us. And think about our specific relationship with the internet. We grew up loving it. We adopted all the platforms early. Then we watched The Social Dilemma. And now we're honestly kind of deeply scared of it.
We are definitely the ones putting hard limits on daily screen time for our kids.
Exactly. Millennial parents are significantly more intentional and strict about restricting screen time than Gen Z's parents ever were. So Gen Alpha has this really weird, fascinating duality. They're incredibly digitally fluent, but they also actively crave IRL in real-life experiences.
But they do have a massive digital playground where they spend their time.
Yes, the third place.
For our parents, the third place was the physical mall or the local park.
Right, and for Gen Alpha, the third place is gaming. But it's really important to note, it's not just playing the game to win. It's platforms like Roblox and Fortnite.
My nephew is on Roblox constantly. It's all he talks about.
But if you actually sit and watch what he's doing, is he aggressively trying to beat a level? Or is he just standing his avatar in a virtual lobby and talking to his school friends through his headset?
Oh, he's mostly just jumping around in circles, hanging out.
Exactly. It is fundamentally a social network that happens to be wrapped inside a 3D game engine. That is where they socialize after school. If a brand wants to authentically reach them, they can't just run a 30-second TV ad. They need to figure out how to organically exist inside that 3D world.
And do these kids actually have real purchasing power yet? Or are we just talking about $20 of allowance money?
75% of kids aged 12 to 15 actively help decide major household purchases.
75%. You mean like groceries or bigger stuff?
Bigger stuff, think about it. Who knows more about which new smart TV to buy? The exhausted millennial parent who works 40 hours a week, or the 14-year-old who spends 3 hours a day watching ultra-detailed tech reviews on YouTube?
Wow. So the kid is actively helping pick the new family car, the smartphones, the streaming service subscriptions.
They are effectively the chief technology officers of the modern American household.
That is honestly a terrifying thought.
It really is. But the massive risk for brands is ignoring their incredible complexity. They highly value digital goods, things like rare skins, virtual avatars, just as much as they value physical clothing. But they also genuinely want to go outside and touch grass because their parents have hammered into them that it's important for their mental health.
It's a really delicate balance.
It is a highly sophisticated balance, and brands that treat them like mindless screen zombies are going to fail spectacularly.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a truly massive amount of ground today.
We really have. My brain is a little full.
We moved all the way from the slow death of Google search to the meteoric rise of social search. We navigated the sea of AI sameness and hopefully found some islands of actual human connection. We looked at the platforms, the journalists, and the weird, wild future of Gen Alpha.
It's a completely different landscape than it was even 2 short years ago. Everything has shifted.
So let's synthesize all of this for the listener. What is the one thing, the ultimate so what, that they need to take away from all these reports?
For me, it always comes back to that very first concept we talked about. The attention economy is over. Stop playing that game. We are firmly in the attention economy now.
What does that practically mean for someone going into the office on Monday morning?
It means stop trying to constantly hack the algorithm. Stop just trying to shout louder than your competitors. The background noise is way too high. You will lose that battle every time. Instead, focus on earning the right to help people make their decisions. Be the most useful, authentic human voice in the room.
You know, I think my big takeaway is actually remarkably hopeful.
Oh yeah, how so?
Yeah. I mean, we spent a really large chunk of time today talking about synthetic feeds and AI sludge and bots. But the ultimate solution to all of it, according to the data, it wasn't to buy more expensive tech. The solution was simply to be more human.
That's very true. The data proves it.
The things that are actually winning the internet in 2026 are humor, trust, unpolished authenticity, and genuine helpfulness. Those are entirely human virtues.
The technology changes constantly, but human biology doesn't. At our core, we just want to connect with other real people.
I want to leave everyone listening with a final, slightly provocative thought to mull over today. We firmly established that 60% of product discovery is now happening on social media. And we also established that AI is currently flooding those exact same channels with an unprecedented amount of synthetic noise.
Right. Here is where it gets really interesting to think about.
Will we start to see a massive digital retreat? Like, will the next great exclusive luxury status symbol simply be disconnection?
Oh, I really like that concept. Like digital quietness is a luxury.
Exactly. Will we see the rapid rise of totally private, human-only digital communities, like gated digital country clubs, where you have to literally prove, maybe biologically, that you aren't an AI bot just to get in the door?
I think we are already starting to see the early versions of that with the dark web of private group chats and invite-only discords. That might absolutely be where the real needle-moving influence goes next, out of the public feeds and into the shadows.
It is definitely something to think about as you navigate the week. And hey, maybe go check your own screen time stats today. Just ask yourself, are you using the tool, or is the tool slowly starting to use you?
Always, always a good question to ask.
Thanks for diving in with us on this one. We will see you all next time.
Stay real out there.
Bye, everyone.